Hello. This is my presentation for Project 1 for game scripting. I'll be discussing the flowchart, basic pseudocode, code review of my game, how I've used it, as well as stretch goals and my references. Let's start with the flowchart. I created this in draw.io. Basically, the level is initialized with the main character, which is a Bulbasaur. After that, an enemy is spawned. The player will then attack the enemy, and the character gains XP. Once enough XP is gathered to reach the threshold, the character can level up. This process repeats until the character reaches level 5, at which point it evolves to a stronger form and the game ends. Moving on to the pseudocode. At the beginning of the game, the XP threshold is set to 20. An enemy spawns with a random level and the enemy's health is based on its level. The player must press A to attack. A message is displayed showing what attack was performed and how much damage was dealt. Once the enemy's health drops below 1, the enemy faints and a new enemy spawns. When an enemy faints, a random amount of XP ranging from 10 to 20 is given to Bulbasaur. If the XP threshold is crossed, a message appears for the player to evolve. After evolving, the level increases by 1, the attack damage is multiplied by 1.25, and the XP threshold increases by 20. This loop continues until level 5 is reached, at which point the player wins the game. For the gameplay demonstration, the game starts. I press A to attack. I press A again to attack. The enemy faints and I gain 16 XP. A new enemy appears. I attack again. Now I have a level up available. I press the space bar to evolve. I press A to attack again and level up again. I continue attacking and leveling up a few times. Finally, I evolve fully and the game ends. This was pretty simple to achieve. So to discuss the code, I started off by creating some core stats, such as level, attack, experience, and threshold for the player. And I gave the enemy its name, level, and health, along with checks to see whether the game is ready or if the level up is ready. Once we start, we get the message, game is started, and a new enemy will spawn. Then we check and update whether the game is running. If the game is over, the game will end. Next, we check the message for level up. In the start function, we spawn the enemy, which assigns the enemy level using a random value from 1 to 4, meaning the level will be between 1 and 3. The enemy's health is calculated as 10 plus the enemy level multiplied by 5, and a message is printed in the log stating that a wild enemy has appeared, along with its level and health. When we want to attack, the attack damage is converted to an integer, and the enemy's health is reduced by the damage dealt. A message shows how much damage was dealt, and what the enemy's health is now. If the enemy's health drops below 0, the enemy faints. Then we calculate the XP gain, which is a random value between 10 and 20, and a message is displayed showing how much XP was gained. If the current XP is greater than the XP threshold, then level up ready will be set to true, and will prompt the player to press the spacebar to evolve. A new enemy will be spawned after that. For leveling up, the player's level is increased by 1, the attack value is multiplied, and the threshold is increased by 20. Level up ready is then set back to false. We display messages showing the new level, the updated attack value, and the new XP threshold. Once we reach level 5, a message appears that Bulbasaur has evolved into Structosaur, a congratulations message is displayed, and the game stops running. For this project, I used the book Essential Mathematics for Games and Interactive Applications. We discussed this in class as well, covering different ways to handle conversions and how to view memory representation. It was important to understand how casting and rounding schemes help produce stable and predictable results in real-time systems. Regarding the stretch goals, I followed what was given, adding possibilities for toughness, dexterity, and focus, and allowing the enemy to spawn with different types and levels. This also included adding different attack methods and attributes for different enemies. Some mechanics remain the same, but after leveling up, we can unlock different systems or attributes for the main character as well. For the UI of this game, I created a canvas which includes a UI manager. In the UI manager, we have enemy info, player info, and a log, so we don't have to rely on the console. When it's time to level up, there's a prompt, and when the game is won, there's also a prompt. There's a game object for the player and the enemy. Let's play the game. As you can see, we start at level 1 and can view our experience, attack power, and current health. You can also see the enemy's name, level, and health. I press A to attack. I receive damage from the enemy. I press A again to attack multiple times. When I have enough XP, I level up by pressing the spacebar. You can see that the level has increased, the attack has increased, and the XP threshold has also increased. I press different keys for various attacks. A new enemy spawns and I continue attacking. Some attacks may not work if the player's at full health. Eventually, the game ends. In this version, it's also possible for the player to lose the game. If you keep attacking without leveling up, the player continues to receive damage and can be defeated, which ends the game. Let's discuss the code for the stretch goals. I've created a few different scripts for this version of the game. A game manager script, player stat script, an enemy stat script, a combat system, and a UI manager. This structure helps manage the different parts of the game more clearly. The main purpose of the game manager is to check which key is pressed for the player's attack, and also to check if a level up is available. For the player, in addition to the basic system, I've added max HP, toughness, dexterity, and focus. which influence different elements of the attack and defense calculations. One similarity to the basic system is how leveling up works, but a key difference is that when the player reaches level 3, new abilities get unlocked. Just like before, once the player reaches level 5, the game ends. In this version, the player can also heal the main character. In the enemy stat script, I've given the enemy the ability to attack as well. I've also created a structure for enemy types so that there are 3 different types of enemies that can spawn. The enemy type is selected randomly, and a switch statement assigns the enemy's specific attributes based on its type. The enemy can now dodge attacks and deal damage within a range based on its attack power. The combat system is the most important part. Once the player attacks, the system checks if the game is over, clears the battle log, and shows the new attack that's being dealt. If the player's HP is not at max, certain attacks won't work. This uses a different conversion method. If the enemy dodges, a message will appear saying so. If not, the enemy's health is reduced by the damage dealt. When the player reaches level 4, they gain the ability to heal as well. Once the level up is ready, the player gets a message prompting them to press the space bar to evolve. If the level is still less than 5, a new enemy is spawned. During the enemy's turn, the system checks if the game is over. Then the enemy attacks the player. If the player's dexterity is higher than a random value, the player dodges the attack. Otherwise, the player's health is reduced by the damage minus their toughness. A message updates this event. If the player is defeated, a message appears saying the player has fainted and the game is over. In the UI manager, I used Text Mesh Pro for better text handling by calling TMP text. I connected the relevant scripts to display player and enemy stats and messages dynamically. In the gameplay, you can see the enemy's name, level, and HP, as well as the player's name, XP, XP threshold, attack power, current HP, and max HP. When it's time to level up, a prompt appears, and if the player wins, a win panel is displayed. I also send the battle log to both the console and the screen, so players can follow what's happening. This was my reference. Thank you very much. I believe I deserve a high distinction for this project, as I have implemented and cleared all the stretch goals as well. Thank you.